Can you? I just couldn't speak to them. Yeah, they can hear. I'm good with flashlight. We give you the flashlight. All right. So can I open this up now?
Welcome again.
Can you? I just couldn't speak to them. Yeah, they can hear. I'm good with flashlight. We give you the flashlight. All right. So can I open this up now?
Welcome again.
Can you? I just couldn't speak to them. Yeah, they can hear. I'm good with flashlight. We give you the flashlight. All right. So can I open this up now?
Welcome again.
Can you? I just couldn't speak to them. I was 13 when I made that, but I was almost 14 and did not have the foresight to realize that it would not work for long.
What is the top of the dumpster?
Now substance.
For some reason there's like a count.
Preoccupies me about what he's gonna extend for substance.
That's just in there. It should be.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, sent.
Cool.
We're gonna hear a Florida AC.
I haven't received it yet, but it might just be coming quickly. I got it.
Alright.
I did not get it. Can I see the email that you sent it to?
Might have got a junk. No, I think that's what happened. It might have got junk.
Yeah, I went to spam.
Okay.
It doesn't have a high opinion of graph.
Okay, cool. Status quo law doesn't let adolescents receive vaccines absent parental consent. Minimum adult 13. Every state requires parental consent for vaccination. When parents not available, consent may be given by legal guardian or court laws. Require consent for each injection. Advantage one is death. Disease outbreaks are a result of non-vaccinated kids. Also, under 14. Recent outbreaks are example what can happen in vaccination-based job. Officials declared news that eradicating 2,000 diseases on track to infect 3 times as many people because people who have not been vaccinated are getting infected by others. Then the infected spread of some diseases disproportionately affect adolescents. Rothschild. The recent first test outbreak was considered an epidemic, otherwise known as women cup. Women cup may become more serious in children. Impact is systemic and will continue to occur. Absent the affirmative, people improve delay or consultancy can't solve immediate action is key since the anti-vax movement is gaining strength in the status quo proven by recent outbreaks. Novella 07 confirms. In recent years, the anti-vaccination movement based on poor science affairs become more vocal and hostile. The movement has merged with those who warn that mercury has caused many ills that plague mankind. Empirics confirm vaccines have saved 732,000 lives in 20 years. Goalie 414. 732 lives have been saved in the past 20 due to vaccination. According to CDC's 300 million cases of kids getting sick were prevented, and each was safe from 4 infectious diseases. Numbers show immunization programs have been successful. In the late 1980s, outbreaks happened largely due to lower vaccination rates. Borders can't stop abuse, but vaccination can. That turns NC sub 1A threats to bodily security, preclude the ability for moral actors to effectively act on other moral theories. If they are in a state of crisis that inhibits the ideal moral condition that other theories presuppose people. It also prevents the instantiation of your ethical theories since individuals cannot reflect upon it, which is logically prior to any ethical theory. Advantage 2 is bioterrorism. We have vaccines to fight bioterror threats. Seislak et al. 2K. Vaccines against anthrax, smallpox, plague, tularemia, Q fever, VW, and botulism against diseases such as Eastern and Western equine encephalitis, rift-like fever, and other antibiotic warfare vaccines will eventually be employed. Vaccines against other biological insects in various stages of R&D. Bioterror leads to extinction. Sandberg away. Advanced synthetic biology make it possible to cure pathogens capable of extinction. Low pandemics, unlike other weapons, pathogens self-replicating, allowing small arsenals become exponentially destructive. Although most pandemics fade out, engineering pathogens with high transmissibility and lethality might cause human extinction. Now the solvency resolved. The 50 states in Washington D.C. of the United States of America will grant adolescents with the capacity for informed consent the right to make autonomous medical choices on receiving doctor-recommended vaccines. This will all I will specify now, but if you want specific links, then ask me in cross-text to clarify. I defend a legal right to make these decisions. Minimum 2. Strategies to increase adolescents to receive vaccines and improve health will be important as well. Policies that maximize opportunity for minors to receive vaccines when parents are not present. Policies include enabling adolescents to receive vaccines based on minor consent and allowing adolescents the capacity for informed consent to give their own consent. And consent laws are a significant barrier to adolescent vaccination. Minimum 3. Vaccines have the potential to improve health. Adolescent vaccine coverage lag behind a cover. Requirement to parental consent for vaccination has been a significant barrier to improving adolescent vaccine. The ability of minors to consent can influence whether their adolescents receive vaccines during healthcare business when parents are absent. When adolescents need more confidential services, it will be important to develop strategies, including the opportunity for them to give their own consent. Proves the app is uniquely key. Adolescents are a group that lags behind because of parental influence and can often interact with the health system without parents present. Vaccines solve disease, eradicate pathogens, and proven empirically Andre Dalloway. Eradicate pathogen not reemerge unless reintroduced by human. Smallpox and eradicate other disease can be eradicated by an effective vaccine. Eradication requires population immunity. In 4 recent progress has been made in measles elimination. Keys more than 95% population immunity through a vaccination regimen. Elimination of measles from the Americas has been achieved. Increased vaccination solves bioterrorism. Andre 2. The concern about the use of smallpox and bioterrorism due to cessation of vaccination following eradication. The potential of vaccine to protect from bioterrorism, smallpox, and anthrax is the government should ensure an adequate supply of vaccines. Response systems for vaccine parental disease play a critical role in response to bioweapons. Now the framework. I value morality. Intuition determine our beliefs. Humor. It is reasonable to assume things the way they appear. Some appearances are more obvious than others. Determine what we reject in comic logic. What's on appearance, we think the following logically. Socrates is a man. All men are inconsiderate, therefore Socrates is inconsiderate. Inquiry proceeds by assuming things are the way they appear until evidence cast out. Even the skeptic's arguments or based on what seems to skeptics to be true. A few implications. Stuff when you'll say reasons override intuition. That's a false premise. The basis of logic is not justified by moral logic. Logic is just intuitive. You can never bend intuitions, people. Intuitions outweigh even drop framework warrants. When I can't refute a hobos ran on the moon landing being faked, I don't discount this evidence. But given my stronger justification to the contrary, I retain my beliefs. See, if the NC says absurd things like the Holocaust was okay, or we'd rather not lie than say the human race, we have a stronger reason to reject the NC than the weak reason. Your a long change of convoluted logic provides. We have general rules like lying and stealing bad because in general the following that the rule maximize the well-being. Acuto coopsy intuitively is a rule. You're smart. Habitual accordance to rules says key promises generally optimistic. The accurate will have regardless of those mere rules of thumb when he has no time for calculation. There's no inconsistency whenever a man might have a drowning person has no time. He knows it is almost right to save a man, and he goes to standards. Maximize expected well-being. Life first under the standards. The irreversible cessation of all happiness. Few more warrants. One states must be used to Wooler. Policies in our democracy must be justified by the public. Justification cannot be assumed by some moral principles. Policy entails trails. Policy cannot justify value conflict to the public, and since public policy implies winners and losers, policy's duties demonstrate their policies are to the advantage of society. Deontology-based systems have severe practical limitations. All per moral principles create a regimen of regulatory unreasonableness while failing to adequately address a problem. Actors specificity first. Your framework may be true for people, but not for states. Impacts up on policymakers. Always act with uncertainty without full knowledge of our facts and consequences. No utopia calc index. People no constraint. The only reason that those exist be consistency with that constraint helps promote the maximization of well-being. See point that co-ops constitutivism to be a state is just to maximize life. 2 equality. Do not sacrifice one. Say the 5 trees to one person is more valuable than 5. YouTube has helped equality. Now go down to the underview. 1T is an issue of reasonability. Bright line of Lincoln impact turn ground. 8 point the multiple interpretive topic. The after was around line. I choose mutual of interpretation. They can always reach Don't punch me having stand ground. B point. Can't reach on the negative. The NC's react. They can always have pick a strategy adapt to me. My AC give them a shot of winning the round. 2 negative B. That was after. Former. No one puts me a strategic disadvantage to the neg. Can craft a perfect strategy to the absence of 6 minutes to an hour slash you clap on any issue and crush me on it. Proven empirically according to Tabroom Neg 160% of our rounds at VVI Los Angeles. 3 no neg RBI. The 2 narc can collapse theory and dump for 6 minutes, which allows them to win for even truly abusive positions. Now the roll of the ballot is to pick the most desirable policy option or the normative ethical framework that is won around. That means that things like reps and stuff like that don't matter. It's just a question of the post-fiat consequences or post-fiat implications of the policy option under an ethical framework. So 8 point is changing the role of the ballot. 6 minutes of AC offense. Irish policymaking. I can't weigh my alpha off against the executive function. They separate role of the ballot, especially balance compound the existing. 7 4 6 3 times 2. Ground is key. Judges vote on offense. B points predictability. The net creates from a spectrum political theory. Is always better prepped on the after anyone. Their multifunctional AC offense is insufficient against the prep queue. So he monopolized discussion. I can't gauge less I predict. C point policy simulation is key to political activism. The link shows the framework arguments covers 7 5. Citizens are obligated to be able to govern through absent motivation political activism is law. Power from narrow unconnected political power called by those who rule in language. The power to lack of faith persuasion affects the weighting instead of participation. The power to imagine public apathy make a difference. Simulation is more empowering to students and completely banning our notions of power. Fancy Davis act from making one a laughing stock to those who will power. Role-playing teach students to be comfortable with the language of power that paves the way for genuine effective political activism based over the relative efficacy of political strategy for pro-social change must confront government to power at some point. Back to the framework of the Geno evidence. We're hardwired to be util Geno. Studies prove outcome decisions lead people to see decisions in a different light. People allow outcome term decision quality. That turns deontology. We'd consent to util. And if we're hardwired, we have no choice in the matter. We simply can't be conscient even if we preferable. So, didn't read Patterson.
Okay. Alright. What neg possible position does not moot your app offense?
One that doesn't preclude the role of ballot I set up in the app.
Okay. What if the role of ballot was becoming a slave owner?
Well, it's not.
What if it was? Should I not be able to challenge it then?
You should have to justify why mooting the entirety of the AC offense outweighs.
So I have to justify why becoming a slave
It's
owner
not that it's
is
bad. Yes, it is bad, but you have to justify that challenging representations in the round has a bigger impact than the mooting of the AC.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go to your plan. What does it mean to have the capacity for informed consent?
What?
What does it mean to have the capacity for informed consent?
To be able to make decisions, like see the consequences of your actions and be able to make
So do you
decisions.
spec a specific group of adolescents?
No.
Like mature minors or what?
No.
So how do we determine who has the capacity for
I just
consent?
told you. if you're able to see the consequences of your actions.
Where does your evidence ever say that?
Well, you wanted me to specify, so I'm doing that now.
But what does it mean for capacity informed consent?
This is the third time I'm saying it.
How do you determine if someone can see the consequences of the action?
Whether
if I can see tomorrow but not the day after, do I not get informed consent?
No, if when you're talking to the doctor, they cannot reasonably make the assumption. Like you're complicating this too much. It's not even that relevant to the case.
I'm asking you a question. It's CX. You answer it. That's how it works.
Okay, I did.
I'm saying, but how do we determine that? Like, is there a specific policy metric?
When they're talking to the doctor, the doctor can make the reasonable assumption that they have the capacity for informed consent because they can see the consequences of their actions and they're able to make a informed decision with that. That is sufficient to meet the criteria.
All right. Let's go to Coverstone. What's the warrant there?
You have to engage with policies. Sorry, you have to engage with the state or what like the existing power structures are, and you have to create policies. The reason for that is that if you work outside power structures, then the people who are in power can easily ignore you. So
does the AF policy happen if the judges vote AF?
No, but it provides us the education for when we go out in the real world. That is the argument.
How many Srikar policymakers? Can you name any besides like Ted Cruz? Like, can you name any policymaker who did debate?
So even if we don't become actual policymakers, we still have the capacity for social change outside of legislation. So I'm not sure what
social change outside of legislation is relevant. Is the Coverstone argument?
No,
that's what you just
that
said.
That
you
is
said outside
one
of legislation. We have to
right. That was right.
Change.
My argument is that engaging in policy discussion now gives us the tools for social change later.
How does policy discussion give us the tools for social change? For social change outside.
You said you understand how the power structures work, right? That's my argument.
Okay. Why was your AF roll the ballot any more predictable than any neg roll the ballot?
I think you misunderstand the argument. The argument is that I speak first and have to set a roll of the ballot, so the next choice after that to adapt or to not to adapt is totally up to you. That's the argument, not about like whether my roll of the ballot itself is predictable.
Okay. I'm gonna take prep. Alright, 228. I'm just gonna get in a doc and then email it. I'll be quick.
How much time do you have left?
228.
What are you putting into a document?
What? I'm literally saving it to the desktop. I'm going to email it right
I'm
now.
not sure how big it is if it's not making a speech yet.
I'm like adding it to the email chain.
Well, that's you can do that outside prep. Your email outside prep.
That is what I'm doing. Alright. It should have sent. You get it?
Do you want me to wait until opening it?
That'd be great.
Huh?
That'd be great. one-off case.
That truly hide the government relies on data from the manufacturing of vaccines, safety, side effects, and drugs.
Prejudice is a myth. And prefer harder evidence or analytic arguments than computer ones. And my authors show more vaccines above months combined. And vaccines are evil. We can't trust big pharma with their children. Sarah. Many times over the past 10 years, a drug has been unsafe and outright dangerous to pharmaceutical companies have covered up for years. Homework replaces the therapies one beyond caused thousands of deaths from heart attack and programs finally recovered from the Merck. So the manufacturer of MMR vaccine is currently embroiled in two lawsuits for falsifying data scientists and vaccines. Also, this outweighs because we existed healthy for multiple millennia before vaccines. Doctors always will say vaccines are good since the drugs always turned out to be bad. Better to go to nature than corrupt with big pharma. And their evidence is left to doctors unreliable. Better to air negative question. And CC points outweighs. He says systemic impacts outweigh the AC. This means that his laboratory goes away, but only my links to the actual parts of the image matter. Then let's go to the F on the underview. On the myth of our offense, one, there's no reason you can't actually engage my 18 in the case. There's no reason to read our offense. Second, everything moves out of the offense. The whole point of engaging is to read your offense or return to ultimate your offense. Stop complaining to start engaging. Third, obviously my world about matters most participants, both disclose and engaging. You can still engage. Third, fourth, it's definitely not perfectly read a different world about. You can say your world about is reason for each policymaking say good. If I can see say good, that means it's going to be a lot worse because you get a job to engage on a better prep. One, turn, you get better prep, you get to determine what the world about is. Second, this is often problematic because you just have the world about being a slave owner. I couldn't challenge that. This means that if the tech controls and tolerance to triphone, even when he's trying to stronger link outweighs. And third, obviously it's just close, you can still get that preference. And fourth, all policymaking arguments can slowly leverage your evidence to AC, so it's not unpredictable at all. And on coverage on one, it's better to use cross deal and read evidence here. It's better to use this second notice for policymakers. He's no warned by the situation, you cannot engage with that. And sorry, I'll flash this card. The case impact of the model of education, the model of political decision making, mobilize the population for war and kill valuable life. Chapter 7. One of the deadly practices is identifying with the state, internalized external forces, conforming to such entities. Their life become institutions like we identify with the state as who we are. The dynamic means to generate wars, constantly reinforces attachment to the state. We explain why Americans using an NPC, cut the card to C. And also, this outweighs his fairness claims because one, there's no fairness in voter 18. You have to get great granting access to the new voter analysis and whatever because I do not even know what the voter is. Can I engage in the second? My critical examination outweighs regarding because this is general impact. His fairness is for only certain people cannot include people within the state. If you're justifying that argument, you should lose regardless. That is the most unfair thing because you're creating an unsafe debate space. Unsafe debate space outweighs because we cannot engage in the space and that is for you register any benefit you can debate. Then as an overview to act offense. Don't let him leverage the policymaking mutual justification because I'm always also linked to that offense. Just confront the case, both of those linked in. Obviously, oppression and total exploitation violence outweigh the act because that leads to more oppression and systemic impact away, which is that the winning strong link to the case and then it turns the actors who cannot get access. And I will email the shopper.
You want to first get
Okay.
Ready? Mm-hmm. Right. So your argument on the ableism critique is that the fact that the app says that certain people cannot make decisions because they're cognitively disabled.
We're literally saying you're only giving rights to what you deem as able-bodied people. That is super able.
Okay. So your argument then is that people who are cognitively disabled should be able to make decisions that require them to not be disabled.
Okay. One, I don't see the impact of that. Second, even if I'm saying your representations are problematic.
Why are the reps problematic? Saying that people who have been cognitively disabled.
Okay. If you want to go for ableism good in the 1 AR.
No, it's not ableism good. It's not ableism good. I'm questioning the link.
Your argument that it's ableist to say that certain people are
You say passive doctors, you said NCF doctors.
So is your argument that disability doesn't exist? What? Because you're saying that people are cognitive. Your argument is that people who have cognitive disabilities are still able to make decisions confidently, we should give them the right.
I'm not endorsing the right now, so that's
I guess you're not endorsing the right, yeah. But it's because I exclude disabled. So what is the? It's because I exclude the cognitive disabled. That is your link, right?
Yes.
So the fact that I say that people who are cognitive disabled do not have rationality, that's link.
Yes.
Okay. So what is the alternative that solves that?
To ground you know,
Okay. What does that mean?
that is focusing on the individual's ability to do things that's driven by the able and willing state. You gotta actually teach our things by learning the relationship that this has to have and understand their
What your argument is, this is the BS. What you're saying right now is that we shouldn't look at the app, we should rather question the app assumptions, but there's an alternative or separate view of autonomy to negative endorsement. What is this relationality you're talking about?
So I'm trying to criticize your representation of
So what is the alternative that solves the link?
It's to criticize
Okay, so the alternative is just ableism bad.
No.
Well, you're saying, how do you solve the link?
How do I solve the link?
Yeah.
One, because we understanding on not individuals.
You're re-understanding on how to solve the link.
You said autonomy is constituted by making decisions.
So the alternative text is literally question the app. That's it.
No.
So what
So
do
read
you
the alternative text?
No, when you read the alternative text. No, it's not reading the alternative text. When you're explaining what the alternative was, you're saying we need to question traditional models of autonomy,
It's not
right?
traditional model of autonomy, your model of autonomy is.
Okay, so other than questioning what is the alternative that result of limit.
It's not about questioning, it's reformulating some negative of this.
What is the negative model of autonomy?
I don't understand that question.
Okay, whatever.
Alright,
So let's talk about biopolitics.
The link is that immunization and the whole push to get vaccines is just separating the healthy and disease into kind of understand different parts of society.
So if people are truly diseased because they're not vaccinated,
It's disease eradicating.
so disease isn't good.
No. Your categorization of blood immunized, non-immunized, way to say it is different.
Right, to create a why is that? Okay,
You want to go for biopower and ableism doing the 1 AR and invite you to do
I'll
stuff.
start.
You want to continue doing stuff.
Yeah. Wait, how are you not done with that? Right? LCM is already my CX. Okay, I'm gonna start my 5 minutes.
So restart them.
Status of the alts.
It's about if you perm them or the right to pick them.
So if I straight turn it, you'll go for it.
Yeah. Do you guys want me to email the Schaffer card?
Yes. So why are the neg impacts bad apart from the consequentialist impacts?
All of the K's indicate that.
But what is the argument that says that ableism and biopower are intrinsically bad apart from that it links to the AF framework? Like, your impacts things like violence and stuff like that. That seems to just link to the AF framework. What is the independent role of the valid argument?
Try feminist.
Yeah, so explain it.
Feminist says they need to be critical educators in the debate space
But why?
because the judge has an obligation as an educator to teach against the grain, which is to challenge existing assumptions. And
Why do they have the
open up
obligation to
open up
challenge?
the debate space for more people to be included?
Okay. The impact of biopolitics seems to be consequentialist. Doesn't have any. What is the impact to the role of the ballot from
It
biopolitics?
says that biopolitics is how the state oppresses people. Seems like oppression is bad under my role of the ballot.
Where does the app say systemic impacts come first?
You said that in your app. You said that this is 7 impacts.
When did I say that?
On the Apple app. Impacts. A. Impact is systemic and will continue to occur and spread to absent the app.
Right. Does that say systemic impacts come first?
Yeah, it seems to be like that. This is an important impact.
Are you
It's
serious
systemic.
right now? You honestly think that says systemic impacts come first?
I think that that's the warrant.
Okay. What comes first, biopolitics or ableism?
I'm not gonna wait.
Okay. Alright, 36 seconds.
Are you reading new stuff?
Yeah, email.
Cool.
New off. The fairness first stuff on that was on the bottom of the AF. Top down the AF. Oh yeah, my bad. Forgot about the. Yeah. So, right. Then we're gonna go top, like his case turns. Then ableism, biopolitics.
So did we say starting on under again?
Starting on a new off.
Was it, did you email yet?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't got it. Maybe it's not in my real email. Yeah. I want you to write out the intro before the speech.
Okay.
Can you type it here?
How do you know there's an insert?
Because I opened the document. Because the speech is about to start.
Start video before you start.
Thank you.
I spelled unconditionally wrong.
I'm not going to hold you to it.
Alright, new off. Okay. New off. Just a chair. New off, fairness first stuff that was at the bottom of the AF. Then top down the case, ableism, biopolitics. Alright. Everybody ready? Alright. Interpretation negative must defend all critique alternatives unconditionally based about least set disposition cross exchange response to A1 stipulated condition dependency critique alternative pigeonholes the one area into one strategy stick the NR with the CP. I should be able to prioritize defensive returns and allocate my time to the one. I also am forced to force a suboptimal strategy. B1 if I defend my AFT even if he only has defense, so this so unsuperposed C1 turns also I can access the best index like solvency deficit permutation since defense on a link control opportunity cost. Let's take the argument T1 the abuse is not trivial. He has 6 minutes in order to crush my answer, so I need a later response counter plan. Response key to fairness by definition. Vote on fairness basic competitive to adjudicate on basic was lost. Notable to have a shark fan drop it on 31 the round is irreplaceable best time ultra my strategy check on fair shouldn't occur in the first 2 turns. Rather than explain the time period of theory and ensures that their losses will be unfair strategies. Their unfair strategies with losses in the future 3 point is that is a question of what he did not do. For example, he should have defended unconditionally and did not do that, so there's nothing to drop in the first place. Even if you drop both the critique alternatives, that does not mean that he gets to defend the status quo. It means that he loses the round anyway. Use competing interpretation because reasonably done by their A point. There's no Berlin, in which case leads judge intervention, or B point there is a Berlin, in which case which is debating of which Berlin is better, which is competing interpretation. 2 point is that even under the case of Berlin, reasonably Berlin just using being more and more unfair, so you get to lead to a race to the bottom. So competing interpretation is comparatively better. No RVI on 1 AR, no RVI on 1 AR 3. That's conceded from the AF. You can send that now. Let's go to the bottom of the AF on the fairness first. Fairness obviously comes for the critique. The first point is that none of his offense is why critique education is a good thing. Is competitive with my argument because my argument is that you get to read all your critique arguments. You must just defend it unconditionally. There's no unique education he gets from the reading of that critique alternative. Dispositions that he would not get if he defended unconditionally. So all the critique education arguments are terminally not unique. Some point B is that fairness must be necessary because judges are competitive adjudicators. It's a question of who actually wins the debate round. If I'm winning an unfairness because the critique is impossible to adjudicate, so fairness must come first. 3 point is that debaters not going to debate in a world which is unfair, which means the critique cannot be one, the critique cannot be adjudicated in the first place, and 2, the critique education that you claim is so important will be lost out in a world which nobody will debate. Now let's go to the F overview to all of his case turns. 1 is that there never did I ever say systemic impacts come first. All I said is this impact is systemic. So extinction come first. That is the argument in the framework that says a complete cessation of all life and happiness. And also modern research tells all your dissatisfied vaccination experts concur your misguided concerns are the root cause of reemergence of disease. Andre, 2 experts in WHO show vaccines are safe. Research has spurred less reactogenic products. Most cases have been false alarm misguided concerns cause of reemergence. Also, you guys concede every single argument from the app. For example, the Goalie Port 14 evidence says that 732,000 lives been saved by vaccination, which means I have a conceded biopower advantage. My M is simply better than him on the question, so I win the round there. Now let's go to the ableism critique. The ableism critique is obviously awful. Cross-examination should be a political indication of why this argument makes literally no sense. His argument is that just because people are disabled, that doesn't mean you can deny them certain rights. Obviously, if they aren't able to make that decision in the first place, then it doesn't make sense to grant them that right because they aren't able to conceptualize decision in the way that the affirmative advocates for it. That's not ableist or anything. All that sets up is the fact that all that sets up is the fact that certain people are different. That changes what rights or what we can expect of them. So the app does not otherwise the app would be imposing a right that the ableist people will not be able to access anyway. So these arguments are totally not unique. Also, turn. The app is a shift away from guardian decision makers that is net better for the disabled. Miller 06. The emotional connection of family can be dangerous for an incompetent person. The able-bodied person cannot understand the subjective experience of the disabled. The personal fears and pressures of the able-body interfere with the decision making. Surrogates may force unwanted treatment on the patient, applying best interest analysis to impose normative views on what constitutes equality. Like these views include concepts like dignity, which have little meaning to incompetent persons. Also, the fact that winning the case offense, extinction outweighs your oppression arguments. People have to be alive in the first place people have to be alive in the first place in order to act in order for ableism and your oppression arguments to make sense. For also permutation. Do the app and do the critique in all other instances. Permutation. You're in the point. The critique alternative is strong enough to solve the link. In which case it does not. In which case it would solve the link evidence anywhere. B point. That means that case or B point is not strong enough, which would be rejected critique alternative anyway. Also, the case would be a net benefit to the permutation. Also, his alternative is totally nonsense. Just that we should question the assumption. The prospects with clear indication that the alternative makes literally no sense. It's not actually saying anything about what we should do. Just as we question the assumption. So the alternative does not resolve the link to the critique. Now in the biopolitics, obviously, case turns the entirety of the biopolitics hour. And his argument is that we should not separate populations in two separate groups. If I win the entirety of the case, then that separation is a good thing because it avoids extinction. If extinction comes first, then impact turns to biopolitics disadvantage. Also, the biopolitics argument does not have an internal link to oppression. It says that it leads to violence, but for violence to matter in the first place, people must be alive, so extinction must necessarily come first. All the permutation, you can cross with the permutation here. Same argument here. So I didn't recur.
Cool. I have 228. How do I stop this? Oh, ready? Yep. I'm emailing it right now. Right, it has been sent. Everyone good? What's your order? The order is going to be on the off, and then the biopower critique, and then the ableism critique, and then the app this time.
You say off biopolitics KA app, and then this time
No, sorry, the off, biopower, ableism, and then if time af. Alright, is everyone good?
Yep.
A is counter-interpretation. The negative may depend disposition with the status that if you permit, then I can kick it. 6 is standard first reciprocity. First turn, whenever you counterplay, the F has access to infinite perms, which are all conditional. To a offense counterplay, which is that not letting me run unconditional, non-real and dispo. Excuse me, way more than 0 since I have to answer back to the world with each one of the possible forms and the scopes and outweighs regardless of side by since A. Most judges presume math anyways the competence of B is impossible to verify and quantify, so I didn't know this competence correctly. It definitely overcompensates based on infinity to 1 strat, definitely outweighs his reciprocity claims. Uncommon might be bad, but dispo is key to checking back for infinite programs. Second, you have the infinite to prep time, so having multiple accuracies and necessary to combat the object of the AC accuracy. Third turn, you relink is in the truth of the word. You have 6 minutes of offense in a place where you want it, and I have 7 minutes not to only answer your offense, but also introduce my offense, multiplying the strat. Fourth, if I can't get the hand, then lose all the time spent on that, which is that nothing outweighs all of your offenses. No offense in your shell, and that benefits real education. In the real world, policymakers mention as a policy option, we should be able to kick out of things, straight laws. The ability to make decisions driving every discussion. One thing we ever do through critical through thinking, through argumentation skills are offered by real decision making are conducted greater than any educational discipline way to get some skills we learn. Have the conduct of arguments can best improve our lives. So don't education is inherently an academic activity. Education is more important than fairness is one. Fairness is only important to protect and ensure good educational values. This means that my vote is determined impact of their second. Fairness is only important to particular round educational impact beyond the 45 minutes. So I weigh on time frame. Third, there's no absolute baseline difference. It's fair to one debate unfair to the other. So for education is not only non-arbitrary voter. Fourth, it's reason schools fund activities which are periodic to do. Fifth, it's a reason we do activities without that you lose with anything. And then on the weighing arguments, he says, Fridays for is like no unconditional benefit. Obviously, I'm winning an educational benefit to this, and honestly, somewhere it's competitive adjudicator. One, the presupposes that's your role to judge. I'm thinking the role of judge about an education. So all my weighing arguments can cross back here. Send no two-way or weighing. Plenty of time to weigh against education. He knew that absolutely good education, not the whole benefit of dispo, which is no new weighing. And then there's the C arguments. Debaters will quit. Debaters will probably quit if there's no education. The debate's already unfair right now, which is not unique in this argument. Then, biopower. Extend Campbell, which is an immunization just form of creating bare life and not bare life, because we are differentiating between those who are healthy and unhealthy. This allows us to differentiate between different people, group of people, and determine people as bare life and literally legitimates all violence. And that's this yarg adventures that literally it will escalate into extinction because we have no justification for anything, no reason we have to stop doing violence because bare life. This allows for ultimate justification for any state intervention, and this outweighs all of its impacts. A, it's more systemic than his one-shot bioterror impacts aren't going to actually happen, and B, it's definitely a large strictly biopower is a huge thing, whereas bioterror is not. There are no credible threats of bioterror that has the history of America, which is not actually going to matter. His argument is pretty bad. He says that case turns, but case doesn't turn. You can send Dylan reviews says only representations from the focus matter. Representations are pure to policy making because we'll have serial policy fake would not interrogate our representations, which he cannot get access to AC offense to weigh that against a critique of the second reason he cannot do that is that he can say the field as loser. The app does not actually happen when you vote app. However, the neg actually does happen because you are engaging with the content of the alternatives. This game over right there. Also, you tried to perm it, which means you cannot go for the perms because you tried to impact on the critique, which means you cannot do that. And because the burnout evidence is the alt evidence, which is that we have to engage in the setting of existence. The only way to reject biopowered software because that allows us to determine our identity on our own terms, allows for individuals and the fact that it's a prerequisite to solving the act because we cannot grant rights in logical sense without doing this. It means that I control internally to solve it while also avoiding your reps disadvantages. It means I'm definitely be able to solve better for your app. Then he says like no internal link. That doesn't make sense. The drug evidence is very clear. This is strong as internal link to oppression. More often, central phone 17. The judge has to reject oppression in the debate because this excludes people from engaging in the teacher's against the grain. It means that his impact will not turn the cake. His impact will only turn the cake if he wins YouTube, but he's not extend YouTube. Only impact is oppression. Definitely not oppression because you cannot be oppressing your dad. However, if we're actually preventing this, this means that I'm preventing oppression. The representation is the only thing that matters. You cannot get access to the AC impacts. Reps only matters, so he does not get that. Then let's go to ableism. Oh, then on the perm, huge sense of the perm, you can send the shock references anytime we engage in state, those people just crush us and provide any resistance. This means that whenever we tie ourselves to the identity state, that allows biopower to go on ad infinitum because it allows him to determine what we think, which means that he cannot get the perm, he cannot be conceded a reason state co-option that the perm has no resistance. Obviously, also the fact that all this contingent upon cutting off every single form of resistance in order to determine our own identity. We have to have full rejection before we actually engage in state. It's not extend coverage, so you cannot get access to policymaking arguments. The only two benefits were the perm, which is the perm is clearly awful, and then the AC advantage, which we should not get access to. Then on Campbell. On the ableism. You can send Clifford, which is the app is hugely able, so literally defining categories of people who are able to get rights and not able to get rights. This allows for huge disability, huge ableism because we're able to literally say what people are deserving the status of rights or humans in the first place. His only argument is literally ableism good. Drop him right now. This is an unsafe debate, unsafe argument. You're saying that literally we can discriminate against people for their disability, ability to think. This is not just saying that disabled people don't deserve rights. I'm saying that you're allowing doctors who are super ableist to determine whether people literally exist as humans or not. This is super ableist. Definitely links him a lot harder. His Miller argument doesn't make any sense because like surrogates are bad. I do not defend surrogates. It's not an in-depth solved. Even if it's on the link level, there's no reason if I'm winning my alt solve, it obviously solves back to this link, and there's no reason to link to it because I'm not advocating surrogates. I'm saying that everyone gets to define their own identity and autonomy forms of relationality, which definitely stops to surrogates, because surrogates cannot control adolescents if I have in the world of the alt. So let's extend the impact to Siebert, who says that the root cause of oppression is ableism, because that's how we differentiate people and allow for oppression in the real world. Instead, the Braswell evidence, which is the alt evidence, which said that you need to be able to engage. You need to be able to understand our relations with others in order to solve anything of oppression, because that allows us to not focus on the independent and the disability, rather understand ourselves in a context. You can find the strong possible Schaffer evidence here. We're not able to solve it. It's only arguments you can do every other instance, but that's not solved because your app is inherently ableist. The only link was that your app is inherently ableist, and when that link, the permit severance, you do not allow for severance. There's not a severance permit indicated. It's only net benefit is the app and net benefit. That does not make sense. You cannot permit all other instances when literally just like reject your app and reformulate. If you there's no disadvantage to reformulating. The only disadvantage is your app, which is the permit is a lot worse than your app. AC. You can send the Sarah evidence, which is that vaccines have actually increased disease and disease spread. This is going to be a lot very helpful for me. Send the evidence to the Wang analysis, which is the health organization evidence, which says that for big farmers always going to be skewing evidence, and always passing bad findings actually just benefit themselves. They want profits in order to sustain their own benefits. You think that all of this evidence this is an index to all of this evidence. When you perform my evidence, you're going to see an evidence index. You know, a lot of stats are fundamentally predicated on big pharma being true. I'm saying that big pharma is not true. You cannot trust anything from doctors, because doctors will always be going to tell their own products. Means you for my empirical analysis over there, that means we turn the app, he's not going to access to app impacts. Here's the round breaks down. His theory was stupid. He's not going to go for that because he's clearly wrong in dispo. Moreover, the biopower link is completely conceded. You cannot impact turn biopower when you consider the entirety of the jarring evidence, and also the fact that you cannot extend the app as a link turn to the K. He's being super ableist. You can put him down there, and also I'm crushing him on the AC substance.
Alright. And 38 seconds?
I think so.
Alright. Okay, so your response to the permutation is what exactly? That the AF endorses policy and policy gets co-opted.
On which K?
Well, it was the same permutation on both sides, so.
Yeah, but the analysis was different.
Okay, so explain.
Yeah, state bad is definitely a link, and it just had to the perm. That's a Schaffer evidence.
Right, but if the inclusion of the alternative resolves that link, because it takes out the ableist
literally cannot resolve the link. The state
Why?
is a link. The state will co-opt all possible alternatives. The state will destroy
right.
those alternatives.
But if the alternative is okay, sure.
You can't solve for a state link if you're using a state.
Okay,
link.
that's fine. So the order is going to be overview of the round, ableism, then biopolitics. Okay, is everybody ready? Zeroing down the true number between the two critiques means that I get to do it now. That is the only way that you avoid judge intervention, because that is some kind of wing. Otherwise, you would assert your own views of what you think comes first. Which means that ableism definitely comes first. This is implicit wing that he has done. The Siebert zone 9 evidence says that ableism is the root cause of all oppression. So if I control the internal link away the ableism critique, you would automatically vote affirmative there. Now here's how this debate breaks down. The crucial concession is the concession of the Miller 067. His response here is totally stupid. Except the Miller 067 that the after they shift away from guardian decision makers, that is net better for the disabled. His argument is that he does not defend surrogate decision makers. My argument is that the app shifts away from the status quo mode of thinking, which is ableist, because it allows surrogate decision makers to control the disabled, which means that only the app has a piece of offense. This is totally conceded. My argument is not that you defend surrogate decision making. Is that the app is shift away from the status quo, which means that I have offense to ableism. That is a conceded term. You can very easily vote affirmative there. Now the question is whether the permutation actually matters. I extend the permutation, which says that first extend the argument that the alternative does not resolve the link, because all it does is criticize is question ableism, but does not actually do anything to solve that argument. That is a conceded argument. That's turbo defense on the alternative is the reason why you should automatically vote affirmative on the Miller 067, because only I have offense to ableism. You might think it's a bad argument, but it's a drop once. You still must vote affirmative. The number 2 point is the permutation. Extend the permutation, which says that the permutation don't bind either A point, the inclusion of the alternative is sufficient to resolve the link, or in which case, or B point, it is not strong enough, in which case we shouldn't do the critique alternative anyway. Here's how this debate breaks down. He says that state bad is a disadvantage of permutation. That is absolutely incorrect. The only reason that state bad would be a disadvantage of permutation if the state would be co-opting some movement. But if the alternative solves that movement to begin with, then there's no reason that the state would be a disadvantage to it. For example, the only reason that the state is a bad thing is if it would co-opt that movement. But if the alternative is strong enough, then it overcomes the state bad link, in which case it's still sufficient to solve all the problems of ableism and biopolitics, in which case the endorsement of the state after that does not matter anymore, because there's no movement to co-opt if the alternative has already solved the entirety of that argument. I get to do all this analysis now because the tuner was responsive to that, so I get to do responsive now. So obviously I'm winning ableism critique. If ableism is the biggest impact in the round, I have a conceded turn there, and he has conceded that alternative does not resolve the lengthy critique. You very easily vote affirmative there. Now, it's a question of whether it's a question of biopolitics. Obviously, the permutation will also apply here. His argument is a representation of necessary, but if the alternative solves all of the links in terms of representation, then the only offense you have is util. Yes, I didn't extend the util offense, but I didn't extend the util framework, but it is obviously the implicit frame. You concede all justification. Now you just go to the affirmative. The only relevant question in terms of the affirmative is whether my studies are from Big Pharma. They're obviously not. You can call from the MTAP to run. He says that Big Pharma studies are a bad thing. To mine from modern research, experts and modern research, for example, places like the WHO and stuff like that, which are obviously not Big Pharma, which means it takes care of his argument. That means I win the case debate and win the biopolitics argument, which case will be a case is a net benefit to the app. So here's how the round breaks down. So obviously bioterror outweighs. His systemic impacts arguments are all new. He should have made those in the 1 and C. I said the complete cessation of life is worse because things like oppression stuff like that don't matter. He says there's no credible threat, but you concede the entirety advantage. So winning the permutation, winning case to the net benefit. If I resolve all the links on reps, then you vote out. Rep.
just don't think timers are my thing. I don't think it's broken or
Well, I don't know if I was putting it on someone's seat or not. Why? I'm gonna put this on the podium here. I got you your papers. Let me go grab.
Okay, alright. Okay, so congratulations to both debaters for reaching the Sims. It's a 2-1 for the negative from Crossroads. I think the state's ability to administer vaccines in the event of a bioterror attack stops extinction by preventing the spread of anthrax and smallpox. Even if vaccines might have side effects the government is covering up. I also think autonomy is probably less ableist in applying the best interest standard to people with disabilities. I think the problem here for the neg comes with the link work. So it's a little strange how the link to ableism is. So there's no explanation of what the app's appeal to rationality is. Based on Crossroads, it seems like I thought this was an app misunderstanding of what this was, because it seems to be like he interprets the link as the fact that they're not getting the rights, like we're not giving them, like the fact that he in the plan text excluded people who don't pass competency tests is like the link. That's never really refuted by the like neg. Like I can say what I think it means, especially in the context of like what the card says and the alt. But it seems like the fact that his no link arguments, you say, like the link work I have in the 2NR is like, yeah, like his link terms are ableist, that allows for a huge amount of ableism. He's literally ableism good. Drop him right now, he creates an unsafe space, he's super ableist, and then you go on to the impact. So it's like it's really hard to say like, I mean I could say that like I think that he kind of misses the boat because it's not really about the plan, it's probably about like how he grounds subjectivity or whatever based on my understanding of the alt, but it doesn't seem to be like really kind of how it links. So then the question is like I look at this like link turn argument, which I'm not really sure exactly what to do because it seems to be about like giving them autonomy. Like the link seems to be like giving them autonomy, which I think like I thought like the link turn is about like giving them autonomy is better than the alternative, but then it seems like the link is attacked as he sort of explained it or assumed it wasn't answering it is that we don't give them the autonomy that's ableist, that we assume they're not capable of being autonomous. But sort of like looking at your alt, it seems like it's probably a link turn. What it seems to be saying is that like it seems to be comparing sort of this idea of autonomy versus the best interest standard, which is he says is the status quo, which is that like the idea that that we should apply the best interest standard for people with disabilities and see and act upon, have their like caretaker act upon what's in their best interest because he says they can't know the best interest, which suggests that, I mean I don't know what the like physical alternative is, like who else decides, the doctor, the state, it seems like they probably wouldn't know their best interest either. But if that is the way the status quo sees it and his is like the sort of autonomy matters better, then it's a bit worse link defense. For like, I think like the problem with the biopower K is just it's like, I mean again it seems to be about like the administration of vaccines as the link. So if he wins that like he prevents extinction through a bioterror attack, he kind of like outweighs. So he just kind of collapses into the like, it kind of collapses into the, to me like just the actual case debate. Because it's like, because I think that like, you kind of have to be winning. There's no like reason, there's no like prior like epistemology first argument or why.
What about Dylan Reed, sorry?
I mean, it's not really like, if there is a bioterror attack and the administration prevents that, I mean you have to be, if the app is true, it doesn't necessarily matter.
So did you vote under util or?
Well, like yeah, I mean it's kind of, well, I vote that the app. I mean I don't. It's kind of like a combination, right? So it's like, I mean I think, but well you can do that, but you can make a face. But it's like it's not that I didn't decide. It's that it's more than one thing. It's like let's say, I mean if he link turns the disad and then also extends like an advantage, it would be both. They would both be impacts to voting app. So it's a combination of like. I don't see frameworks inclusive that includes the role of the ballot. So it's a combination of the link turn ableism, which I give him a little weight for, and probably the bigger thing is the fact that extinction outweighs the K. You go the other K. I mean, I think it's just that the problem is that like, I mean, the whole reason you read a K instead of like an NC is that you have, you know, sort of like if you criticize the Speech Act, then they don't get to weigh the app against it if you win your like K prior link framing arguments. The problem is the link in this debate, to the extent that there is explanation of the link and there's very little, is it seems to be to the plan. So the administration of vaccines and the fact that we have a competency test. So it seems like if we prevent extinction, that kind of just outweighs both of that, unless you can win that those are false, which is kind of like the case today. I don't think you do that because your evidence that, I mean, obviously your evidence is like, it's like, you know, all from the tinfoil hat crowd or whatever, which is fine, like, I have voted on warming turns or whatever too. But I just don't think it actually answers his argument. So it's like, it's just saying that like, that they hide, the doctors hide the, like, the medical establishment hides the side effects of vaccines. So it's just saying that like, that doesn't really mean that they wouldn't, it could still prevent extinction from biopower attack because it's effective in preventing smallpox and anthrax. So I'm not really sure like why, even if they give you the 100% of that argument, why it's actually defense against the app. So I don't think there's like really like a reason. So I mean, there's just two ways to evaluate the case. Do they link, right? And then does it include the app? And then if it doesn't, then you need to have a really, and it's kind of hard to win just on your impact, but like, I think it conceded like extinction scenario, plus like a kind of like not great articulation of the link, which might be a link term in the case of ableism. You know, kind of just means that I think like case outweighs, and he also I think the link term, though I'm not 100% sure I've got it right how it works. I think it's probably offense for them on the ableism too.
I kind of like Scott's decision. I think if I were viewing the round from this kind of like holistic, like kind of modest perspective, like yeah, you make some reps first arguments, but like certainly the AF outweigh. You know, the AF matters unless you have really strong framing stuff. But I don't end up looking at it that way because I don't think that's really that framing I get from the 2AR. The way I see it is that the AF concedes a lot of the kind of reps first stuff that gets extended in the 2R. So there's like the extension of Dylan Reed 2K. You don't get away your AF offense. Fiat is illusory. The AF doesn't happen. Trophonus, all I care about is oppression and discourse within the debate. The only argument I get from the AF and the 1AR to contest this framing is like util before oppression, but that presumes we're weighing post-fiat type impacts to begin with, and you haven't won any kind of policy-making frame that would make me want to do that. So this is really bad because it means that the AF doesn't get a very good net benefit to the perm, and I also think that they don't get a strong risk of this link turn because the link turn is like something will happen as a result of policy-making or the plan that shifts away from the like guardian surrogate decision-making type model. I think it needs to be articulated more in terms of why this was a good representation of the AF, which is hard because you know that's not in the AF.
Do you think the neg has pre-fiat offense if their explanation
That's
of
the
the
thing.
links is to the doing the plan?
That's the thing. I mean, I think the neg is playing it pretty fast and loose here. I don't have the AF saying this is not a link to the AF representation. I don't think it's very clear that it is solely a link from the result of the plan. I think it's a part of what the AF has said, and yes, it's
That's what the cards say.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same thing that happened in the last debate I judged, which is like, is this a result of the plan, or is it something that the AF said that was bad? And the 2NR kind of asserts like you've said some messed up stuff in this debate. This was like a link to the representation of the AF and the first argument you make on ableism in the 1AR. So I grant that there's some reps link and there's no real AF offense on that layer. So to me, it doesn't really matter if it's a great link or not. It only matters that it's there. This kind of framing deals with pretty much all the AF offense, like the guardianship stuff. I also think you can see an argument that the alt would solve this, that it doesn't exist in the world of the alt, so that there would not be surrogate decision makers. Now that is kind of a weird type response to make if we're also going for the reps first stuff, but it's something said that would answer this. The perm I don't think also makes a whole lot of sense if there's no net benefit to the AF because fiat is illusory. You've also conceded that the perm is severance. It probably isn't, but that's something that 2NR said reject the perm. The only other argument you have is like if we're all dead then oppression doesn't matter, but again I guess that didn't the 2NR makes a response to that you don't answer, which is that you don't get links to this because that's contingent on fiating of the plan. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Did I miss anything?
So there's an argument on the ableism critique alternative, which is that the alt does not solve the link because all it does is question and does not actually do anything. That was not answered by the 2NR.
Yeah.
Quick note, the final round's going to be in this room in 15 minutes.
So your argument on, it doesn't solve the link. Well, first of all, I think he does have a sufficient explanation explanation. He's just like, the link is that you believe in this conception of community. The alternative solves for that because it is relationality, which is different. So I think he has ink on this, and your 2AR spin is just like, yo, this was conceded. And I think he does have an explanation of the alt that says the answer. I have the explicit words in the 2 and R. The alt does solve the link to answer this. You misfloated or missed it. I also am not really sure that's important because, best as defense, you don't have offense on the level of representation.
I mean, if the alt doesn't solve the link, then how does he have offense on the critique?
Well, it would be, so first of all, I think it does, but
right.
I mean, you would have to win like terminal defense, and then what would I do? Like presume?
Well, then it seems like
or just
then you have to go to the then you have to go to the case
next
debate.
layer. Maybe. I mean, that's something you've got to say in the 2AR if you want me to do that.
Right, like I said that if the alt doesn't solve the link, then
vote on like the AF impacts.
Yeah.
But you're not framing that in terms of like there is no offense on this higher layer, so I should default to net benefit calculus or something like that.
Okay.
I also am not sure that he has to solve through the alternative because it's such a strong like reps first type standard. You can conceptualize it as kind of like a side constraint, type criterion. I don't have to have a counter plan that solves it. It's just, was the AF bad? Yes, no.
Okay.
So I think that's sort of where the tuner is going, and that's the best, that's the best framing of this that I have. I don't have an argument that's like, no, you should not consider it as a side constraint. If the AF is really good, that should outweigh the tiny DA to my speech act being bad. That's not something said by the 2AR. Go ahead, Tom. You?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It was essentially the same as Bob's. I think that concession of Dylan and Reed makes it like pretty hard to go for offense on the critique in the 2A because as a framing issue, it wasn't like explained as a holistic mechanism where we still consider post-yet alternatives as explained as a prerequisite to even evaluating policy alternatives. And I think that you like definitely messed up by not explaining the link enough. That was probably like the biggest strategic error going into and that it's like unclear as you can see from RFD like where the link is, what like is it linking to the plan, is it linking to the representations of the plan. I got an explanation of the link that seemed to be linking, well, you said specifically that it was a link to the reps, but I also got kind of an explanation that it was talking about the way you were framing who gets rights and also that the fact that you like it's like allow doctors who are ableist to make the decisions which like gives them power. And so in the end like there seems to be like a general like negative framing towards the link being towards representations, which means that at that point there isn't offense on that layer, which is the biggest issue. And I don't think that it's a good idea in general to go for like a one sentence permutation from the 1AR to the 2AR and collapse to that if there isn't like good a good solvency argument or
How did you view the alt doesn't solve argument?
Alt doesn't solve argument. I think that even if like the first thing is I think Dylan and Reed makes that not really an issue because alt doesn't solve 100%, like even if there's a risk of solvency on that layer. That's why I said that there isn't literally no offense on the pre-PL layer. More importantly, I do think that the alt like does solve. Like I think that he gives pretty good analysis as to why like the alt is a criticism of the what I see would involve a reconceptualization of autonomy in the way that he says. So I mean he does give me some explanation of the alt that he seems to get out of the links and answers the link term. But more important than that, I think that the conception of Dylan and Reed makes it a game over issue just in general with the critique.
So do you think the surrogate's turn is not reps? You think it's like policy?
Yeah, I think that surrogate's turn is a policy argument, yeah.
So how is that like the surrogate's argument that the AF shifts away from a surrogate decision making model? How is that different from like the link, which is at the AF's
Well, I think
plan?
that Noah's response is the alternative also is a shift away from surrogacy. It seems like the alternative would imply a shift away from a model which allowed surrogates to make decisions for adolescents.
Okay.
That's what I got.